So I watched Tenet recently, and I couldn't help but be struck by the similarities to a movie from 2004 called Primer. Both of the films deal with some sort of time travel. In Primer, it's these pajama programmers in Texas that they think that they're creating a device that's going to degrade gravity and help transportation costs in some way. But what it really does is bounce this thing around, whatever's inside this box. It bounces it around in this time loop. The way they frame it in the movie, that there's an A and a B end. Time is like a cul-de-sac inside of this machine. And what happens is they turn the thing on, and it goes A to B and A to B and A to B until it comes back at A, where that happens to be the moment they're in time. But one of the programmers and engineers is like, well, if you're smart, we can create something that can go in this box. Instead of getting spit at the A end again, it can go to the B end and like set a timer and emerge. So however long you leave the machine on, say they put this, it starts out this experiment and they put like an egg inside this box, and they're like, we'll turn it on and we'll leave it running, all night, and we'll come back in the morning, we'll see what happens. Turn the box off. The moment the box is turned off, that same moment when they turned the box on in time the night before is where theoretically you could come out. So these guys are like, we'll recreate the same conditions inside of this apparatus, and we'll make some of them big enough for us to go inside of. That's the time travel conceit in Primer. But there has to be a container flooded with argon. So they have to have their own oxygen, just like in Tenet. And they also encounter things like obviously if you're doing a film about time travel, Terminator, Back to the Future, Tenet, Primer, Time Traveler's Wife, you're going to get into issues of hard and soft determinism, predestination, and all that. Like the scene in John David Washington decides that he's going to go through the time machine thingy to save the girl and go back into the highway chase that he just performed in. We just saw that scene, and we saw this anonymous driver that we later find out is him drive what seemingly do his reverse acrobatics all throughout the same scene. So was he free to choose to do that, or was he predestined to do this the whole time? Donnie Darko gets into that too. With backwards causation, they talk about events in the future. And one of the arms dealer in the movie Tenet at one point says to our man, John David Washington, I love that that's Denzel's son. He's awesome. There are people in the future that need us. And Donnie Darko talks about, there are events in the future which have already, they exist in a sense, that have a magnetic pull, so to speak, on events in the present. So the conceit in Primer is that they're in this argon flooded thing that they build out of PVC pipes and particle boards and shit, and they put them inside these storage containers, and in Primer and in Tenet, the time travel thing is reversing the entropy of an object. So they send it through this, Niels Bohr atomic centrifuge, and you get spit out the other end. It's a better narrative device in a sense, because in Primer, really the entire time that they're time traveling, they're inert. They can't do it. They don't have any agency at all. And what Nolan does, he's like, fuck that. They're going to go time travel. They're going to go backwards through time. They can still move through the Western predisposition and conception of time is, chronocentric and linear. So if it's one timeline, then yeah, we're going to have them interact. And that's, they come to loggerheads at one point when they're going to the one that Branagh keeps in the center of that airport export thingy. I don't know how they did that. I can't wait till the DVD or whatever comes out and I get to see exactly how they scripted a fight between protagonist and himself, but one is moving forward through time and one is moving backwards through time. Anyway, I guess I'm saying there's a movie that came out in 2004 which won Cannes that Shane Carruth did for a budget of like $7,000, which I've been proselytizing for like, 14, 16 years now. Which is, have I been predetermined to do this? Was I always destined to sit in this station wagon and talk about this film? It's an excellent movie that you should definitely check out if you can't get to a theater to see Tenet. Doesn't us being here now mean it never happened?